Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive.
Yeah, no.
Today, we're looking at how AI is changing the legal landscape.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And specifically, we're focusing on ChatGPT
Right.
and some of the things that it can already do.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about like
Yeah.
lawyers being able to like research case law in seconds
All right, yeah.
or, draft complex legal documents just with a few prompts,
Yeah, it's like,
or even like getting a glimpse into potential trial outcomes
yeah.
by using historical data.
Right, like using predictive analysis and things.
Yeah, it's like we're stepping into some kind of legal sci-fi novel,
Totally.
but it's happening right now.
It really is. So today we're going to break it all down for you.
Yeah.
Whether you're a lawyer or thinking about going to law school,
Right.
or even if you're just curious about this whole intersection of technology and law.
Yeah, this deep dive is all about the practical stuff.
Exactly.
So we're going to be like looking at a really cool article
Okay.
by Steve Jr. Called ChatGPT y no delito, agilidad para advogados. And it's this awesome overview of how this technology is being used in the field.
Okay.
And we'll be pulling out
Okay.
specific prompts and examples from it just to like really bring things to life.
Awesome. So let's jump right in.
Yeah.
One of the things that ChatGPT is already changing
Yeah.
is how legal professionals handle those really tedious and repetitive tasks.
Oh, yeah.
Like reviewing contracts,
Right. Yeah.
analyzing documents.
All those things that take so much time.
Exactly.
Yeah. What if you could just like feed a contract into ChatGPT
Right.
and have it like instantly flag any potential issues or inconsistencies?
Yeah.
Be like having this extra pair of hyper-focused eyes, making sure everything is accurate and in place.
Right.
And then it would free you up to focus on more strategic work.
So instead of just being like, hey, can you check this contract?
Right.
So I
Exactly.
could say something like, revise this contract for inconsistencies and clauses that protect my rights.
That is a great example.
Yeah.
It highlights how AI can go beyond just spotting errors.
Right.
It can actually suggest ways to strengthen legal documents.
Like giving you advice almost.
Yeah, almost like having an AI co-counsel.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
That's wild.
Yeah, like imagine using a prompt,
Yeah.
like analyze this confidentiality agreement and suggest improvements for legal security. That's pretty cool.
That is really cool. And legal research would be a breeze.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine,
Yeah.
instead of like digging through mountains of case law,
Yeah.
ChatGPT could sift through all of that in an instant.
It'd be like having a research assistant,
Exactly.
but like way better.
Right, like on steroids.
Haha. Yeah.
So instead of spending hours poring over documents,
Yeah.
you could just give ChatGPT a prompt, like
Yeah.
search for case law on damages related to workplace accidents in the manufacturing industry,
Wow.
and boom, it's there.
That's incredible.
Or even something broader, like
Okay.
find articles in the Constitution about labor rights and summarize the main points.
Easy peasy.
Exactly.
That is so cool. I mean, that kind of speed and efficiency
Yeah,
could completely change the game for lawyers.
especially for lawyers
Yeah.
who are working under tight deadlines.
Oh, for sure.
And it's not even just about speed,
Right.
Like imagine the possibilities
Yeah.
if you could uncover like subtle connections and precedents that like a human researcher might miss.
Right.
It could lead to like entirely new legal arguments and strategies.
Hey, yo.
Yeah, pretty cool.
It's crazy to think about. Okay, now let's move on to drafting legal documents.
Okay.
Things like petitions,
Yeah.
defenses.
Legal opinions.
Yeah, all of those documents that are so daunting to create,
Oh, yeah, those can be so time consuming.
especially from scratch.
Yeah,
This is where ChatGPT can really streamline the process.
exactly.
Imagine being able to generate a detailed first draft
Yeah,
based on the specifics of a case.
right.
It would save hours of writing and editing.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of staring at a blank page, you could start with a prompt like, write a draft petition for a breach of contract case
Okay.
referencing the civil code.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And it would just do it.
Yeah, or draft a response to a lawsuit for undue collection using arguments based on jurisprudence.
Okay, now, for those of us
Oh, yeah.
who don't have a law degree,
All right.
what is jurisprudence?
Jurisprudence basically means the theory or philosophy of law.
Gotcha. So it's like the big ideas behind the actual law.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
It's important to break down these legal terms
Yes, that's...
so everyone can follow along.
I mean, the key takeaway here is that
Yeah.
AI can help tailor legal documents to specific situations
Absolutely.
while making sure that it's accurate and clear.
Right. And all while the lawyer still maintains control of the overall strategy and how they interact with their client.
It's not taking over.
Not at all.
It's just helping.
Exactly. It's a tool.
Speaking of client interaction,
Yeah.
even that's getting an AI boost these days. Think about all the frequently asked legal questions that lawyers get all the time.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the same questions over and over again.
Right.
What if you had like a 247 virtual assistant
Right.
who could provide clients with like basic legal information and guidance?
Yeah. That would be amazing.
That would free up so much time for lawyers
Absolutely.
to handle the more complex issues.
Right. So you could use a prompt like
Okay.
explain employee rights in case of unfair dismissal,
Okay.
but in a simple and direct way.
Keep it simple.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or like summarize the main steps in a probate case for initial client guidance.
Yeah.
This type of tool could make like the legal system so much less intimidating for people.
Oh, absolutely.
Easier for them to understand.
Yeah, because it can break it down
Exactly.
into simple terms.
It's like having this legal encyclopedia
Yeah.
that can just explain all this complex legal stuff in plain language.
That's a great way to put it. Now let's move on to
Right.
one of the more futuristic applications of AI in law.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Predicting legal outcomes based on data.
I know, right?
This is where it gets really mind-blowing.
This is the really cool stuff.
So tell me more about this predictive analysis.
Okay, so predictive analysis in law is still kind of evolving,
Okay.
but it holds so much potential.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Okay.
You could analyze past cases
Right.
and identify trends that might predict the outcome of a current case.
Oh, wow.
So you could give ChatGPT a prompt, like
Okay.
analyze commercial litigation cases and identify trends that indicate a higher probability of settlement before trial.
So you're basically asking it to tell you
Yeah,
whether it's worth going to trial or not.
exactly.
No.
Or even something like, based on precedents,
Okay.
what are the chances of an appeal being accepted in adverse possession cases?
Okay, hold on.
Right.
What is adverse possession?
Okay, so adverse possession is basically this
Right.
legal principle where someone can claim ownership of land that they've occupied for a certain period,
Right.
even if they don't have the official title.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, so it can get kind of complicated,
Yeah.
but that's why we're breaking it down.
Exactly. Even with these predictions,
Right.
human judgment and legal expertise are still so important, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's not like the AI is going to take over completely.
Definitely not.
Okay.
Predictions are based on patterns and data,
Right.
but legal cases are complex and nuanced.
Yeah.
Human lawyers are still essential for interpreting the data,
Right.
applying legal expertise.
Making sure it makes sense.
Yeah, and making strategic decisions.
So it's more like
Yeah,
AI is another tool in
Yeah.
the lawyer's toolbox.
exactly.
It's not a replacement.
Right, it's about collaboration,
Yeah.
not replacement.
AI working alongside lawyers.
Exactly.
So we've talked about some of the really exciting ways that AI can be used in law.
Yeah.
But like with any new technology,
Right.
there are always potential downsides too, right?
Oh, for sure.
Like how do we make sure that it's used ethically?
Right.
And that it doesn't create more problems than it solves.
Exactly. Like, one concern I've heard is that
Yeah.
AI could actually make legal services more expensive.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and less accessible to people who can't afford these fancy new tools.
Yeah, because if only like big law firms and corporations
Right.
can afford to use AI,
Exactly.
then it could actually widen the gap
Yeah.
between those who have access to justice and those who don't.
That's a huge issue.
That's a really important point.
Access to justice is so fundamental.
Right.
And we need to make sure that AI doesn't like accidentally create a system
Yeah.
where only the wealthy can benefit from it.
So how do we prevent that?
Well, there are a few things we can do.
Okay.
One is to focus on developing AI tools
Okay.
that are specifically designed to make legal services
Yeah.
more accessible and affordable.
So like what kind of tools are we talking about?
Well, think about things like
Sure.
simplified legal platforms
Okay.
or chatbots
Right.
that can guide people through like basic legal processes.
So like a virtual legal aid clinic
Exactly.
that's available 24/7.
Yeah. And for more complex matters,
Okay.
we could look into subsidizing access to AI tools for individuals and organizations
Right.
that work with underserved communities.
It seems like it's going to take a lot of collaboration between different groups,
Absolutely.
legal professionals,
Tech developers.
policymakers,
Yeah, everyone needs to be on board.
to make sure that AI is used in a way that benefits everyone.
Right. It's a societal challenge.
Yeah.
and we need to approach it with
Right.
a sense of shared responsibility.
Okay, another concern that I've heard a lot is that
Yeah.
AI could eventually replace lawyers altogether.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Is that a realistic possibility?
I mean, I can see why people are worried about that,
Yeah.
but I think it's more nuanced than that.
Okay, so you're not saying that it's impossible.
No, not impossible.
Okay.
But I think AI is more likely to automate certain legal tasks
Okay.
rather than replace lawyers completely.
So it's not about AI versus lawyers.
Right.
It's about AI working alongside lawyers.
Exactly.
Okay. Like that.
Think of it like this.
Okay.
AI can handle the repetitive, time-consuming stuff.
Right, like the boring stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And that frees up lawyers to focus on
Yeah.
the aspects of law that require human judgment,
Yeah.
empathy, and creativity.
Like the stuff that AI can't do.
Exactly.
So like what kind of things are we talking about?
Well, things like strategic thinking,
Okay.
client counseling,
Right.
courtroom advocacy.
So all the things that really make a difference in a case.
Exactly.
Yeah, those are things that AI can't replicate.
At least not yet.
Right. Hopefully not ever.
Uh-huh. Yeah, maybe not ever.
So lawyers shouldn't be afraid of being replaced.
Yeah.
They should see AI as a way to enhance their skills
Exactly.
and provide better legal services.
It's about adapting and evolving.
Right.
The lawyers who embrace AI
Right.
and learn how to use it effectively.
They'll be the ones who thrive in this changing legal landscape.
Okay, so it's like any other tool or technology.
Right.
The key is to learn how to use it effectively.
Yeah, and ethically.
And ethically.
Yes, speaking of ethics,
Yeah.
there's a lot of discussion about AI and bias.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Like, how do we make sure that AI doesn't perpetuate bias in the legal system?
That's a crucial point.
Especially since it's trained on data
Right.
that could already contain biases.
Exactly. We have to be super careful about the data that AI systems are trained on.
Yeah, because if the data itself is biased,
Right.
then the AI will just learn those biases and amplify them.
It's like if you teach a child with biased information,
Yeah.
they're going to grow up with those same biases.
Exactly.
So we need to make sure that the data used to train AI is diverse,
Right.
representative.
And free from harmful biases.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about developing AI systems that are technically sophisticated. We also need to make sure that they're developed and used in a way that's ethical.
Exactly. We need to have clear guidelines and standards
Okay.
to make sure that AI in law is used responsibly and fairly.
So it's like having checks and balances to make sure that AI is serving justice,
Right.
not undermining it.
Exactly. AI is a tool,
Right.
and like any tool,
Yeah.
it can be used for good or for bad.
So it's our responsibility to make sure
Yes.
that AI is used to promote a more just and equitable legal system.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And transparency is important too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Transparency is key,
Yeah.
both in terms of how AI systems are developed
Right.
and how they reach their conclusions.
Because we don't want people to feel like they're just interacting with a black box.
Exactly.
That spits out answers without any explanation.
It needs to be understandable.
Right. It's not just about the output. It's
Yeah.
also about the process
Exactly.
and the reasoning behind it.
So developers need to prioritize building explainability
Okay.
into their algorithms.
So that means creating systems that can provide clear, understandable explanations
Right.
for their recommendations and predictions.
Exactly.
So lawyers can understand
Yeah.
how the AI reached its conclusion.
Right. And then they can use their own judgment
Exactly.
to decide whether those conclusions are sound.
And whether they align with their client's best interests.
Exactly. It's about using AI as a collaborator and an advisor,
Yeah.
not blindly following its recommendations.
So all of this makes me wonder,
Yeah.
if AI is so good at analyzing legal precedents and predicting outcomes,
Right.
could it eventually replace judges?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
I mean, that's a little bit scary to think about.
Yeah. I mean, there are definitely people out there who believe that AI could one day preside over courtrooms,
Wow.
rendering verdicts based on algorithms and data.
It's a fascinating thought,
Yeah.
but also kind of unsettling.
Yeah. I think we need to approach this question with a lot of caution.
Okay.
AI can definitely assist judges
Yeah.
by providing data-driven insights.
Right.
But the role of a judge is so much more than just applying the law.
Right. They also have to consider
Yeah.
the unique circumstances of each case,
Right.
weigh competing arguments,
Ensure that justice is served.
and a lot of times that involves
Yeah.
taking into account factors
Right.
that go beyond what can be captured in data.
Exactly. It requires human judgment,
Mhm.
empathy, and a deep understanding of legal principles and ethical considerations.
Right. Things that are very difficult,
Yeah.
if not impossible, to
Yeah.
replicate in an AI system. So while AI can be a valuable tool in the courtroom,
Absolutely.
it's unlikely to replace human judges anytime soon.
I agree. I think the courtroom is ultimately a human space
Yeah.
where stories are told, arguments are made, and justice is sought.
Right. And that requires a human touch.
Yeah, it requires human judgment and empathy.
And that's reassuring to hear.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah. As fascinated as we are by AI, I
Yeah.
think most of us would still prefer a human judge
Definitely.
presiding over our cases.
It feels safer somehow.
Yeah, it reflects the fact that law is ultimately about people.
Exactly.
Their relationships.
Their interactions within society.
And that's something that AI, at
Oh,
least
yeah.
for now,
Right.
can't fully grasp. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today,
We have.
exploring the practical applications of AI in law.
Yeah, and some of the ethical challenges too.
Exactly. So where do we go from here?
Right. What does the future hold?
Yeah, what does the future hold for this whole intersection of technology and law?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's kind of hard to predict the future with any real certainty.
right.
But I think it's safe to say that
Yeah,
AI is going to continue to play a bigger and bigger role in the legal world.
it's not just a fad.
No, it's a fundamental shift
Yeah.
in how legal work is done.
So we're at a turning point then,
I think so.
where AI is starting to reshape the very foundations
Yeah.
of the legal profession.
And this turning point presents both opportunities
Okay.
and challenges.
Like what kind of opportunities?
Well, for one, AI has the potential to make legal services more efficient,
Okay.
more accurate,
Right.
and more accessible.
Hmm.
It could help lawyers do their jobs better and faster,
Okay.
freeing them up to focus on
Yeah.
the more complex and human-centered aspects of their work.
But of course, we have to be mindful
Yes.
of the potential downsides.
Right, like making sure that
Yeah.
everyone has equal access to these technologies
Right.
and that AI doesn't just amplify existing biases in the system.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. It really is.
So it sounds like we need a lot of collaboration
Oh, absolutely.
between legal professionals,
Tech developers,
policymakers,
the public, everyone really.
to make sure that we navigate this new landscape responsibly.
Exactly. This isn't something that any one group can figure out on their own.
Right. It's a collective effort.
It really is. It's about shaping the future of AI
Right.
in law
Right.
in a way that upholds justice
Fairness.
and equality.
Yeah. So for our listeners who are interested in learning more,
Yeah.
what are some good resources?
Well, there's some great legal tech blogs and publications out there,
Yeah.
like the American Bar Association Journal.
Right.
They're starting to cover AI and law pretty extensively.
And there are probably a lot of conferences and workshops too,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yep.
More and more popping up all the time.
dedicated to exploring these topics.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like a lot to learn.
There is, but it's fascinating stuff.
So what can our listeners do?
Well, one of the most important things
Yeah.
is to just stay informed.
So read articles,
Yeah. Attend webinars.
follow thought leaders in the field.
Exactly. The more you understand about this technology,
Yeah.
the better equipped you'll be.
To participate in the conversation.
Exactly.
Knowledge is power.
That's right.
So stay curious
Stay informed.
and stay engaged.
The choices we made today
Yeah.
will determine how AI shapes the legal world of tomorrow.
That's a powerful thought.
It's an exciting time to be a part of this.
It really is. Well, I think that's about all the time we have for today.
Yeah, it flew by.
It did. We've covered a lot of ground, exploring the potential of AI in law
The challenges.
and the ethical considerations.
It's a complex field for sure.
But one thing is clear, AI is here to stay.
It is.
And it's going to transform the legal landscape in some really big ways.
I think so too.
It's been a pleasure diving into this topic with you.
Likewise.
I hope our listeners found this deep dive informative
Me too.
and thought-provoking.
Lots to think about.
As always, we encourage you to keep exploring this topic
Yes.
and to engage in the conversation about the future of AI in law.
Your voice matters.
Thanks for joining us.